if you like OSR, that's cool. I enjoy it. I have like, some OSR type games over here.
It
I
is brutal.
Oh, for sure. And I like that stuff. I also like that I can make a character in about 30 seconds with dice and paper without an
Yeah,
app and just
yeah.
jump into a game.
The one time I played OSR a few times because my friend super loves OSR, and he was like, "I really want to run this. I think you guys might like it."
Yeah.
I think I burned through three characters in about 45 minutes to an hour.
Mm, yeah, I've done that.
Yeah, first guy took poison gas to the face. Second guy got killed by a mummy. Third guy fell down a flight of stairs.
Yeah. No, I do like it. So like I enjoy advanced D&D. I like the rules cyclopedia. I have that over there. So that's kind of the gist of it, of what I've got. I've got the Goodman Games Temple of Elemental Evil books that they had actually given to me to review. So I had reviewed that a couple years ago. Goodman Games does a great job with the recreation of their stuff, of the old
Mm-hmm.
D&D stuff. I like those a lot. But yeah, so anyways, it was a cool experience. But back to like the dream group idea. Um I have done videos on this on the channel, and it changes every few months. Like I go around, like
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think it would be really fun to play with someone like a comedian. So in the
Oh,
past,
absolutely.
I've said things like, "Oh, Kevin Hart would be a hilarious barbarian or even a bard, but I prefer a damn barbarian for him." And The Rock playing the bard, or like, I don't know, Jack Black as the bard, which now he's kind of done stuff
He
along those
just is
lines.
a bard.
Yeah, so like, I mean, it would still be awesome. And I love Tenacious D, and they have a song named after me, so it's all good. Like, I I love Jack Black, so I would love to play with him. Um, I've always said, so a lot of people get like love Matt Mercer as a DM and these other, celebrity DMs.
Mm-hmm.
My absolute favorite is Chris Perkins. I
Okay.
love Acquisitions Incorporated. Love it. And because I think it's funny, and I enjoy watching when they do the live stuff from PAX and stuff, like the stuff they did
Mm-hmm.
with Will Wheaton, and basically anyone from those games too. I think would be super cool to play with. Like I would love to play with the Acquisitions Inc. group. I think that would be fun. Because I kind of like the lightheartedness of it a little bit.
Yeah,
Um, Now at times I don't like goofy games. Like
that
so
is.
I got to
Yeah,
be in the mood
yeah.
for it because it can quickly get to a point where it's like this is just too silly for me. And in fact, most of the time I do like more serious games. So
Yeah,
um,
I've come to the realization that like my go-to kind of tone is like a lighthearted game, but with a lot of serious moments,
yes, yep,
as opposed to like I love dark fantasy.
okay,
Um, I love just a real serious game, but
mm-hmm.
with lighthearted moments because you do need that dichotomy.
Break
It
the
can't,
tension.
yeah, break the tension. It can't be dark all the time. But at the same time, I do understand that playing in that kind of setting long term
Yeah,
can be like emotionally draining,
yeah,
especially if you're just going full force into the darkness. You will quickly get burned out.
yep. I think playing with certain wrestlers would be cool too, like Ember Moon, also known as Athena Palmer.
Okay.
She was in WWE as Ember Moon. Now she's Athena Palmer in AEW and Ring of Honor. She is super cool. I've watched her play. As soon as she had like came out and said she liked D&D, I knew I wanted to play with her. Like she would be dope. Xavier Woods is played from the New Day. I think he would be cool to play with. Brandon Cutler, but Brandon Cutler I just think would be fun because he just seems like a chill dude, and it wouldn't be like this.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this, and he's a lesser known wrestler. Big Show be cool. He plays with Joe Manganiello. So yeah, there's a bunch of them that I think
Oh,
wrestler wise
absolutely.
that I think would be cool. And the fact that they're acting anyway in wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like a natural fit. They're playing these
Yeah.
wild characters. Like this would be cool. So I would love that personally.
Like I
But
know I would also love to play with the voice cast of Baldur's Gate 3.
yeah, I need to get that game. When's it coming out on Xbox? Dang it!
I think October, November.
That's
If
what
it's
I
not,
keep
because
hearing.
I know it just came on PS5 and on Max.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure when it comes out on Xbox. I go on PC
I'm
and
Googling it right now. Because I need to play this.
it is delightful. It has also helped me like better understand like the pacing of an adventure and like how to give in plot hooks and whatnot.
Right. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say it's inspired them in their games and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is interesting. How like the maps aren't that big, right? Like, isn't it just a small area of Faerun?
Like it's a small chunk of the Sword Coast, but even though it's a small chunk, the map is large.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very nice that they have like fast travel points. That's very helpful.
Right. It's delayed on Xbox, so I don't know what that means. I'm not gonna worry about it because I'm just gonna get upset that it's not coming out sooner. I want it. I want it bad. All I hear is good stuff.
Oh yeah, like my friend got it on early access, and I'm just like, yeah, I really want it, but I can't afford it. But I really want it. And he was like, yeah, if you get it, we could play together. And I was like, no, the world shouldn't give me adult money. I'm not, and like my plan was, I'm not gonna buy anything D&D related.
I collect sports cards. Like, it's cardboard. These cards are sometimes worth hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars. And you know what? I see these little pieces of cardboard sometimes, and I go, I want that.
Yes.
I need that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's cardboard. That you can't do it. Like, I can't play a game with it. I just have it. I disappoint myself sometimes.
Yeah, I broke down and I bought it, and I've been playing it ever since.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're doing something.
That is true. I've already beaten it once. I now have to beat it again.
Yeah.
But as a different class this time.
Right, but it sounds like it adapts to your style, like whatever you do as well, right?
Oh,
like
no, yeah.
Multiple stories.
One of it's multiple stories. One of the things I really like, and it lightweight occurred to me. And it is one of the things like I'll tell my players is that your decisions in character creation do matter towards the world at large. Like I really put that into effect for like the dark fantasy games where this is a world where humans for the most part slaughtered most of the other people. Humans are kind of dicks and a little racist towards elves, orcs, gnomes, dwarves, and whatnot. Halflings are fine. Why? I don't know. It's because they're halflings. But I was like, yeah, just understand that if you're anything but a human, you will be treated differently by humans.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, so mentally, I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, you want to negotiate with this person? You're an elf. So the DC for you might be 1 or 2 higher than if the human was trying to negotiate because they don't like you as just you just have that against you. And so in Baldur's Gate 3, while it's not negative, or it's not that negative, your character, the options you pick in character creation do count towards like stuff that happens in the world. Like when you talk to people, you'll get dialogue options where it'll be like, okay, cool, you're a druid. You can say this, this, or this. But here's a druid option that you can say because they're also a druid.
I like that. Do you get alignment options too?
There's no alignment. They didn't put that in there.
Okay.
Which I'm like,
I think that's better anyway.
Yeah.
I think your actual responses should actually dictate your alignment, if anything.
Like, yeah, for like anyone who's played the game who knows, like, Act 1, if you're a tiefling,
it's brutal.
It's rough.
Ooh.
Oh, the people you run. I don't often play tieflings, and I really should. So I was just like, oh, you know what sounds good. Like first couple going throughs before I actually stuck to a character. Like, oh yeah, I'll be like a tiefling warlock or tiefling rogue or something. And then people met me and they said not nice things. And I was like, I know I'm supposed to save you, but I'm perfectly okay with letting you all die and or being the hand to bring you your
That's
demise.
your the Slytherin side of
Oh
your
my god.
what is it? You're a Slytherin puff?
Slither
Slither
puff.
puff. Yeah, that's your Slither side.
So I was like, ooh, happy medium. I'll be a drow, which did not
Not make it better.
help.
Mm-mm.
It did not make it better. There were many people, and this is the crazy part because I've heard things like this in real life.
Mm.
Stuff that stuff that NPCs would say to my very nice drow bard.
Yeah.
Oh, like stuff akin to, wow, you're pretty articulate for a drow. And I'm
Oh.
just like, oh
Guess
my
what? That happened to me in
God.
boot camp though. So
Oh,
I had some southern people around me when I went to boot camp. And this one guy from Louisiana was like, "You sound so proper. Like you people from the north." Like which I mean, I'm white, so it didn't really but I feel like if maybe I was a different race or something, I probably would have taken it very wrong. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean that was the only time something like that ever happened to
mm-hmm.
me.
Yeah, like stuff like that just happens in the game. I'm like, okay, cool. But then
Yeah.
also, like, but the race you pick
What do you
does
think of
have
that in games? Does that bother you at all, or are you okay with it?
no. I'm okay with it.
Okay,
Just because I understand it.
sure.
Um,
Does it bother
and
you if people have stuff like that in their RPGs?
no,
Okay.
it it doesn't. But it would also hinge off of the kind of person you are to do it.
And context,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, like I, being a person of color, yeah,
Yeah.
I do allow racism and like
Hmm.
slavery in my game. Um, and it'll forever be from the standpoint of that person is ignorant, they're horrible, they're evil,
Yeah.
and just putting the emphasis on that as
Hmm.
opposed to like, yeah, this is just normal, natural thing. It's fine. No,
Hmm.
you might run into like a human that is just like, yeah, I don't like dragonborns, those scaly bastards.
Right.
And it's like, that guy's a monster. And then it'll turn
See, I
out,
do I do that in my games. So I try not to even like with Drow or whatever. I still try to avoid color because to me that's a little too close to what
mm-hmm.
reality where I don't want to cross that line anyway. But like elves are totally fair game. I use the knife ears quote all the time in RPGs. I think mostly because I like how it's done in Dragon Age with them, like where they're called knife ears and stuff.
Those pointy-eared bastards.
Yeah, so like I do use that, especially if it's a dwarf. A lot of times I have dwarves and elves opposition. It's inspired by Lord of the Rings, like like it's stuff like that. But as a privileged white person, I'm not inundated with racism in my day-to-day life like other people.
Yeah.
And so it's easy for me to not associate these races in D&D because I don't necessarily view them as like real world counterparts. Like
Yeah.
my dwarves aren't all Scottish. Like my whatever,
Neither are mine. I
Yeah.
think most of my dwarves will be German. Because I think like German or like Scandinavian. Like everyone, depending on what setting I'm running, I might throw color. It sounds really bad.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite insults, and you don't know if it's levied against goblins or orcs.
Green skin or something, or gray skins.
Fucking green skins. It's like, it's just something about color and then skin as an insult that really just hits you on that spot where it's like, I don't like the people that said that. I'm like, good. You're not supposed to like those people. Yeah.
So you don't pull a Game of Thrones and 3 seasons later, all of a sudden that person's actually a good guy.
Exactly.
Whose mom was killed by a goblin. You don't play with that stuff.
Because like I know one of my friends when I was doing like the Grim Hollow setting, she wanted to be an elf. And I was like, okay, just so you understand, you will be treated differently by humans because you're an elf. She's like, I totally got that.
Yeah.
But
that makes sense.
Because I understand how racism works and just I know how it looks.
Yeah.
It's not overt. It's not gonna be a person that runs up to you and says, go die because you're an elf.
Mm-hmm.
But well, a couple of party members went into like a general store to just buy a couple things, and like uh the elf barbarian was outside, and she was having a conversation with the human fighter who's like sparking up a pipe,
Yeah.
and they're just having a conversation, learning who each other are.
Mhm.
I just every once in a while just subtly note, yeah, sure, having this conversation. You just notice people are walking past you and just giving you the evil
They
eye.
notice you.
They notice you, and just like their looks, you don't like the way they're looking. You might hear one of them murmur every once in a while. You swear you hear someone called you a pointy-eared bastard, but you're not
Right.
sure. And she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna stare them down." They quickly walk off. They do not hold your gaze. They
Of course
realize
not.
that
They're
you
cowards.
heard what they realized you heard what they said, and they're beelining it. Because that's how real racists are.
Yep.
They're cowards.
Yep. No, so I personally love the idea in games of, because to me those are some of the worst people, right? Like you know, I like the idea of knowing who's bad. Like
Oh
this
yeah,
is a bad guy. When I'm playing, I want to I want to play this heroic character usually. Sometimes I like gray morality, but when it comes down to it, the guys I really want to kill are those ones where they are
mm-hmm.
unquestionably the bad guy. The racist, the abuser, like things like that. However, I like to play games that are more PG-13 rather than like rated R. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
gore I'm cool with, but like I don't like getting into a lot of slurs or even tons of swearing. For instance, if you have things like SA or whatever, I would rather it
I
not be shown
do.
at
I
all.
I don't put that in my
Yeah.
games.
I think so. Things can be implied that don't ever have to be shown. Like you could literally say stuff like a woman in tattered clothes has escaped from an orc encampment.
Yeah.
Now you can assume whatever the hell you feel like, but it could have just meant she was a prisoner for months.
Oh yeah, this is
Yeah.
this is why one of my go-to words is brutalized. Like I had made
Mm-hmm.
that joke in what was it, Saturday or Sunday, where I was just like brutalized by a dragon.
Yes, I think
And yeah,
so.
and you were just like started perpetrating, and it was like, yeah, I like the word brutalized. Yes. You can assume that's probably a little essay. It could also
Sure.
mean I was just
Beat up.
beat the hell out of.
Mm-hmm.
Um
I
like
think
that is
leaving it to the imagination,
oh yeah,
it makes it
makes it worse.
it can like it for this person right here at the table. They might go, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds cool. This person over here might be like, oh my god, what the hell happened? You know, like their own imagination will give them
Oh
whatever
yeah.
they want out of the experience. And I think that's huge. And so like even with like consensual stuff in a game, like I've had some players in some of my games that have wanted things to progress. I don't want to role play, and even
No,
with my wife in my
no,
games, I don't want to
no,
role play
it's
at the table anything getting too
no,
even
it's
intimate.
weird.
I won't even say
No.
sexual, but intimate. I would rather it fade to black. If you later want to make a comment about what happened, that's on you. I will not, as the DM, do that. As a player, I might say one thing later on or a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, we were up all night. You know, something kind of funny, more so than graphic or whatever. But I'm not going to get super graphic. So, that's
Oh
just not
no,
how I like to play.
because like my friend, we couple months ago we finished our Friday game. We finished like a damn near 2-year campaign.
Yep.
Um, and like towards the middle of it, my character, um, this guy right here, Odium Pierce, um,
Is that your own art? Did you draw that?
no,
Oh, okay.
I need to find like I asked my friend if he can find the name of the artist.
Okay.
But this is our trauma club. You can't see Barthos up here. He's a blue tiefling and a bard. Then there's Airy, who is an Air Genasi monk.
Oh, cool.
There's me, Odium Pierce, who initially was just a human paladin sorcerer, and then human paladin sorcerer warlock. And
Yeah.
then eventually I became a full ass cleric.
By the
And
way, you have the best names for your characters.
I
Every single name you have ever had for a character, I love. And it's a name I would totally use if I could come up with it for my characters.
Google
Love it.
is magic, man. This is Odium's bestie, Jolandis Lunas. aka Joe the Sorcerer. But in that campaign, Odium, there was like a rival, like we're all students at an adventuring college and like a rival adventuring party. One of the members was like this pink tiefling uh that eventually became Odium's girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then like we like ended the camp, like I think was our last session or two. Odium proposed, and then they ripped each other's armor off, and then like we faded to black, and the DM made me have to do a concept see if I took a point of exhaustion because I didn't get much sleep.
Yeah, I sense a theme in every game you play. All your characters suffer exhaustion, it sounds like. Is this a thing that always happens to you somehow?
I think so, actually, yeah.
You know what's funny? I've not had that happen to a lot of players in my campaigns where like they just stack it up. But for some reason, it kept happening to your one character over and over again.
Well, Lucifer.
It was your bard, wasn't it?
Yeah, Lucifer makes good decisions.
Oh, it was the cursed item, though.
Should not have purchased a cloak of protection. I knew. Oh, Lucifer knows that when any deal sounds too good to be true, it probably is. He's a bard. He understands these things.
I think you made the mistake of putting that idea in my head.
I did.
I think you said, is it cursed because it's so cheap?
That was 100% me. I 100% went, it's probably cursed. That's why it's so cheap. And then I watched you go, write that down. And I'm like, I did this to myself.
It's the yes or no die, man. This thing has screwed you and so many people.
Oh, it's delightful.
I love this. Love this die. It's one of my favorites. Yeah, like, so I am almost always winging it when it comes to like magic items and all sorts of like, if it's cursed, like there's a lot of stuff in those campaigns that I have just winged it. Like I'm so far off book when it comes to Tyranny of Dragons. And in Descent into Avernus, I got a little bit off a book too, you know, at times, but especially Tyranny of Dragons. In fact, we have not done anything really out of book since the trail after Baldur's Gate up to Waterdeep. Like I've taken inspiration from stuff and I've read a little bit, like the White Dragon area. Like I definitely did some stuff from the book with that. But like, because we play online, we only play once a month. I can't use the dungeons the way they are. They're too big. You know, it would take forever. It'd be like 5 sessions in one place. I can't do that. And I don't like to run long games online. I lose my attention span and it's just too much. So I just say, here's the main things I want to get. That's what I do. Let's just wing it and see how that goes. And boop, doop, doop, doop. And then we just go with it. And then I have to rewatch it because I wung it all and I have no idea what I said and I suck at notes. So then I have to rewatch the session the day we play the next game.
See, and that's what I do. I appreciate that you wing it and you go off book. Just I know in Descent into Avernus when I got that stupid sword.
Yeah, I didn't know how to handle that.
That transformed me. So I'm like adding it to my character sheet, and I'm like, okay, let me read everything the sword does. And then at the bottom of the thing for the sword, it's like if Zariel. Spoilers for who's ever playing Tyranny of Dragons, and you're going by the book. It's going to give you some time to like fast forward.
Whatever. Yeah, fast forward 10 minutes.
God, that's probably
because I'm probably going to say some stuff about the campaign too. So that's why I say 10 minutes.
But like it says in the book, if Zariel ever touches the sword is destroyed.
Destroyed. It goes poof.
It's destroyed. Or if you use the sword to free the companion or whatever, it's destroyed. And I was like, I wish I never knew that. And I was like,
that's why you didn't want to give it to her at the end.
Like that was the player. Like this sword's really cool, and I don't want to give it up, but I'm lawful good, and it does make sense for my character in this moment to hand the sword over. As much as I don't want to, because I'm like, if we have to fight her and the sword is gone, I'm screwed.
So there's two. So there is a part in it too that if you willing. There's like a thing that she has to roll to overcome, but like there's also a thing that actually did happen though, where she does grab the sword and it does free her. There's a save she gets to make. So, but yes, there were a couple things with that scene that I didn't do it by the book. And so I was leaving it to die rolls to see if she fought you guys. And the intimidation check and the other stuff. Like, a part of me didn't want to fight because I had a feeling you guys were going to die. So there's a few things leading into the end of there. The whole campaign, once you said you were a dragon, I was trying to find a way throughout the whole campaign. How can I make him have this dragon form back? If I do, how am I going to, like, what stat block? Like, I talked about this at nauseum with Paula. Like, I want to do this. Or, oh, if he dies at some point, he's going to resort back to his dragon form. And I don't necessarily want him to die. I want him to come back to life. Or maybe I'll have him be met with Tiamat and have to make a decision. Are you going to bond with Tiamat and then come back as your dragon form because of your queen? Which we did that theme with Nate's kobold. I don't know if you were in the campaign at the time.
Oh, no. Yeah, I was. We got
eaten by
the back of devouring.
Yeah. So I was like, I could do this again, but then, like, he comes back. But as the dragon, like, I was like, I could do so many cool things with this. And I wanted you to be the dragon. And then that sword, technically you weren't a paladin or cleric, I don't believe. So technically you couldn't attune to it. But I wanted to do cool shit. And nobody in the group was a paladin or cleric. And I wanted the sword to be useful and cool and change someone into a damn angel and or a majestic dragon or something. And so that's what we did. So yeah, and then even after like that, there's like a whole monologue and stuff that's supposed to happen. And I was like, there's really no ties to El Chirel through this campaign. I'm not going to worry about all that. I would rather just say, what do you each do for the rest of eternity as who you are? And I think you guys taking ownership and agency and telling it is so much better. Anyway, that's how I like to end one-shots usually and campaigns. I like to say, all right, player, you survived. This is what happened. What do you think happened until that character died?
Absolutely.
I love that. So that's one of my favorite things. And hearing what things people come up with, and the people, you can tell too, the people who have put a lot of thought into their characters' backstory and things like that, they usually will be like, oh, this is my, and especially DMs who are playing, they're like, boom, and they just tell you all the cool shit. It's like, yeah, that was cool.
Oh yeah, because like the Friday game, like we wrapped up, and DM was just like, we're doing our like send offs of our characters, and like we're each going like, what is our character doing in the future? And I'm just like, yeah, Odium now being like a Twilight cleric, who serves the goddess Elistray, and we're in New Neverwinter, and there's this giant crack, there's this crevice that leads to like the abyss or the Shadowfell or whatever dark powers on the other side. He spent his life running from the darkness. He's now going to defend the people from that darkness. I am like a level 17 cleric. I have a little spell called Temple of the Gods. I'm going to spend a year casting this spell on this spot so that I permanently have a temple, and I am going to start training new recruits into being fighters, paladins, clerics, and whatnot. And I'm just going to form my little order dedicated to the light and Elistray. And our whole deal is making sure nothing bad comes out of this hole ever again.
Yeah.
That's our shtick.
I love it. Yeah, like I like taking in my homebrew campaigns, kind of off topic, but back to the other stuff a little. Like, I love to run it in my homebrew worlds because, again, I can, like, add all these little things to it. But the thing that I do differently when it's my own world running a campaign, and you've probably seen it a little bit, I try to let players tell me about my own world. And once they do, it's canon, and I put it in my world. Like, I've got so many things that have been added to my world that are from my players. My world is not completely fleshed out. I've only done parts of it. I've got some of the gods, not in real depth. But if players want to come to my games and be like, my god in this world is Jesus, then it's Jesus. I don't care. If it's Thor, Zeus, whatever, we'll make it work. And they might be lesser gods in my world, but they can still be what they want. And like the same thing with like their characters' heritage or culture or whatever. let's add it. Let's make it cool. Like I've had people add Warforged to my world and things like that. I still haven't explained where Warforged come from really in my world, but I've had Warforged characters, so they're in my world somewhere, you know. And maybe they're not called Warforged, but for the sake of the campaigns up to that point, they were.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe they'll have a different name down the line or whatever. I've added treants to my world, which obviously Black Trunk is in there, and elder trees, because again, he added that. We had someone who was supposed to play. We crafted the whole campaign around this premise, but they were a harpy that was trying to get to another part of the world. So a lot of the first campaign was actually centered around that. And then it came time for that session, and they had to bail out on us. Oh, so it's like, ooh, all right, scramble, because the campaign would have been completely different without their input. But now I've got harpies in my world, and I have rival harpy races, I guess. And like, so I let them write up the lore. I didn't like a lot of it, to be honest, but I was like, you know what? They're taking ownership of it. They're taking the time to write something. I'm going to respect it and work it in somehow. And so like you've got like vampire ones, and then like the typical singing ones, and like, you know, so there's like 3 or 4 different ones, and they're from a bunch of islands that I think we called the Singing Song Isles or something like that, because, you know, they're harpies, so why not? You know, it's like these giant mountains that jut out of the ocean, and they're like these, you know, cool things. And I made in D&D Beyond the different sub races of them, and so they have different abilities. Like you have the water ones, mountain ones, and swamp ones, I think. And I don't remember which ones are the vampires, because I don't think I actually worked that in mechanically. They're just more like cannibalistic harpies. You know, their diet consists of that. But I like to give players a lot of ownership, and I think it makes the game so much better. So much better.
Oh no, absolutely. Because like I'm trying to do that just going forward. Like because I told you that I'm working on like my homebrew world of Torelden, I think like Sunday. And so it is a world that has gone through many iterations. Like I'm DMing.
Do you find it hard to give up player agency in it a little bit? Like, does it ever alter some of your lore in a way that makes you go, I don't know?
In the beginning, it did.
Okay.
In the beginning, it did, but I think, like this is one of those like people say it, and I'm like, thanks, but I don't really believe it. And people say like, I love you as a DM. You're such a great DM, and I'm like, thanks. I just feel like I'm a regular
imposter
DM.
Syndrome.
Yeah.
I understand.
And like I've come to recognize like one of the things that like that they're saying is that like I want everyone at the table to have fun.
Yes.
If you suggest some things, you want to do some stuff, it might go against my lore, but I'm like, sure, let's make it happen. So like in the beginning, player agency. I'm like, you know, you want to have this thing? Well, that doesn't really exist, so I don't know if I'm gonna do it.
Yep.
And it's really just turned into okay, cool. Because like I know for the version of Torelden that I'm working on now, kind of like some of the background lore is it's on this world called Aldaria, and during like the age of esoterica, when like mortal races were first gifted magic, there was not necessarily like the spell weave that like we know now. It was kind of just a free for all. So like you could go above beyond quote unquote 9th level spells, and mortals do what mortals do. They tried to like, hey, we're the gods now, and the gods didn't like it. So like the god of magic said, I'm taking my gift back, and just took magic back. And I figured out a couple days ago, the way mechanically that looks, he just plucked Aldaria from out of the weave. Because in my canon now is magic isn't just like, oh, it's just the thing that exists. Magic is the confluence of planar energies. Every like spheres in the weave has access to like all of the different realms and whatnot. That connection is what creates magic. Well, he just plucked Aldari out. So it's no more magic, no more clerics, no more druids, no wizards, nothing. A good chunk of the people who lived there kind of saw the writing on the wall and said, we're going to go. So like Faye went back to the Feywilds. There's like some like merfolk people that said, we're just going to go chill in the plane of water till you guys figure out your shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a very dark time forever. And that is how like the creation of like steel came about, because there's no magic, but there's still monsters and stuff, and just regular weapons kind of don't work. So we need a better type of material. They created steel, gave the age its name, the Age of Steel. And then I'm actually gonna, and like the god of magic, because I've been trying to figure out how Tarask exists. That's not a thing that just happens.
Right.
Tarask is not it can't be a naturally occurring creature.
Not if you use it mechanically straight out.
Yeah,
of
not if you.
book.
Yeah, so it's like the Lord just, it slumbers beneath the earth. No one knows where it came from. It's like, I'm just gonna it's there. I'm just gonna use that in the lore, and it's just straight up like the god of magic swashing mortals, and it's like, you know what? I took magic away, but they're ingenious. Mm-hmm. They're trying to survive. They're trying to figure this stuff out. They're creating new forms of like metallurgy and combat techniques to make sure that they all live. I'm going to give them a shot. I'm going to throw this unkillable monster at them. And if they can kill it, or they don't have to kill it, they just need to draw a single drop of blood. If they can do that, they're worthy of magic again. So he made it to Tarask and just said, go forth and destroy whatever.
Right.
So periodically, the Tarask will pop up, destroy a kingdom, disappear. And then eventually they learn how to craft like mithril.
Okay.
And this guy named Eldrick Kingswood was gifted this cool sword, and he was able to do 1 point of damage to the Tarask.
Oh no.
That's all he needed to do. He needed to draw a single drop of blood, and he pulled it off. And magic has come back. And so like the first campaign, when eventually I do run it, will be set literally 14 years after magic returned. So it's not enough time for like, I'm an archmage now. Yeah.
Right.
They're still going to be.
So you're going to have like, low-end magic users.
Like low-end magic users. And then if you do run into someone who's a high-powered magic user, they did something to get there that quickly.
Gotcha.
So I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, you're an archmage. Oh, you're a warlock? Who's your patron and what'd you do to get this power?
Right.